there were cans all over the place. It's drinking time. You get up, you drink. You might drink all day long, but that's what you do. And then it got to a point where there's this bag of cans, and I'm the only one filling it up. Hey y'all, it's Jared here. Glad to be back. A little sooner than I thought I would be, actually, but I'm excited. I'm 224 days in now, so every time I know I keep saying I'm just overwhelmed, impressed by myself. I'm doing just a great job. No, it's just surprising. The world I live in my business, with where I live in my small town, and just people I associate with, and that's not a bad thing. I just mean this in just culture around me. Drinking is a thing. First, I want to say though, by the way, and you wouldn't notice this because we are releasing this at the year mark, which we haven't got to yet. So you've been seeing because we edited at the year mark with our intro video, the small town sober intro video. But that actually just came into fruition right now, which I'm proud of. I know it's kind of a silly thing, but it's I found a logo. I've always thought, campfires, they're kind of spiritual for me. It's the smoke rises up into the sky. You look into the flame, and things aren't always as they seem in the heat. I know that's kind of silly, but it really is. I sit by a campfire and I'm in heaven, literally. I love it. I love the crackling. It's calming. It's peaceful. And good conversations are had around a campfire. In my past, a lot of beers were too. So, moving forward, I was actually telling my wife recently because we're doing some camping this summer. I was curious if I would enjoy camping, and we haven't done it yet. But I think ultimately what's going to happen is I got to get back to my childhood view of things. I was always everything was so spiritual for me. I could sit and stare up into the sky and just be so thankful and just constantly be talking to God and be like, man, that bird is beautiful. I want to fly someday. How beautiful are the trees and the leaves and the bugs and the bees and the everything. And I think now that I'm not drinking, those things are going to come back to me. I think I'm going to see more of the childhood view of the beautifulness in nature. And quite frankly, I think that's what God intends for us. I think that's what we're supposed to see it through instead of the hazy lens of a drunken weekend. And it's just, I hear myself say these things and I kind of surprise myself a little bit too. But I think that's what's going to keep me happy is that now I'm focusing on the things kind of like with a childlike view of everything. And that's not a bad thing. The innocence of the world and the beauty in the world can kind of get distracted by all the noise. So I'm kind of glad for that. You see here, I got a different background. This is actually our cabin that we have up north. I'm in Michigan, and so up north is a place where a lot of people tend to go in the summertime. I know it's not summer yet, but I had to come up here to do some things, work on some landscaping and whatnot. And the reason I'm doing this video is actually because I went out to the shed across the road. We have the cabin right here, and then across the road we have a shed. And I went out to it, and I started getting the lawnmower ready. And I looked up on the shelf, and there were a few cans there, a couple cans of Two Hearted. And I'm not sure if that's something that you might be familiar with. I think it's a Michigan, I know it's a Michigan brewery. I don't know how far across the nation or the world it's gotten, but Two Hearted IPAs were my favorite. And I think the main reason was because they hit you hard and they hit you quick. And anyway, these cans were out there, and I had to kind of laugh at myself because I knew exactly why they were out there. And this is the point of my video today, is I'm noticing more and more of the signs that I knew all along, but now looking back at it with sober eyes, it's telling. Those cans were full. And those cans were full for a reason. They were full because what I would do is instead of drinking around my wife when she could tell that I've had too much, I would take cans and I'd hide them in places where I could find them later where she might not be, So this was a shelf out in the shed, so I could go out there with anything I had to do, and I could pull one of those cans off the shed or off the shelf and drink it without her seeing it. And then, I mean, ultimately, I could never hide the fact that I was buzzed or drunk. Um, but that was my way of being able to consume without her knowing, at least immediately. So, again, I'm looking back at these things and I'm seeing now, even more so than before, the issue. There's issues with this. And it's funny because you see behind me out here, there's a deck. There's also another shed out back this way. Same thing. I went out there and there's a can sitting there ready for consumption. Um, there's a lake where the cabin is, but it's a walking distance, so you have to walk to it. And so what I would do is I would drive to the convenience store here. I'd fill up a cooler with alcohol, and it wasn't all in with me trying to hide things. I was also trying to be a good host. So I'd fill up this cooler and I'd take it down to the water and I'd have it set there so I didn't have to drag it down there. But partially, and this is just because I'm being honest with myself, partially it was because I didn't want my wife to see how much alcohol I was going to pack for me. Instead, I could hide it under the guise of this is for everyone. Well, 3/4 of it might have been for me, but I could at least take it down there. And so I didn't have to carry it down when the group of people that we were going with were walking down there. So you start to see these, just these hidden things that become a little more lies, little white lies initially, and then become a history. And so I'm willing to admit it now. I see it now. But those cans are, I don't know how many more I'm going to come across. I don't know how many I forgot about. But it's telling. It's telling of where I was. And I'm proud of it now because I saw those cans. And although I do think Two Hearted is really good, it's not for me anymore. And so anyway, they're going to go to waste now that they've been through a summer and winter. I also have found bottles of vodka in my tool cabinet out in the garage. In my truck, what I would do if I had a really stressful week, one of the easiest drinks, and I've heard some other people, I've listened to a few podcasts now of others that have struggled with alcoholism. I would take, I don't know if it's a half pint. I never really got the measurements correct. I would just point at it and say, I want that one. But I would take Fireball, and there was this little shelf in my truck, just a little shelf that was kind of tucked away underneath, and I'd put that Fireball in there, and I might take a swig on the way home or two. And the nice thing about Fireball is it actually had somewhat of a cinnamony smell, so it wasn't so alcohol in your face kind of smell. But that was another thing that I would do is take Fireball and hide it in my truck. Now, I'm not here to say that I was drinking and driving all the time because I didn't do it all the time by any means. But I did have this thought that, I could do a little bit here and there. And obviously now looking back on it, I have kids. Like it's so immature, and it's very selfish to put my kids in a situation where I had been drinking, whether it was drunk or not. I didn't think about it too much. I just didn't. And now I'm here to say that was wrong. And I'm apologizing to anyone who wants to listen to me right now. That was wrong. And I won't do that again in good conscience. No, I just won't. At this place too, we purchased this place, and I remember my wife told me when we bought it, like, don't become an alcoholic now that we've got a place like near water in the summertime. Wow. I still don't know if I would tie myself to the alcoholic name. It really doesn't matter though, because I certainly abused alcohol. I know it was more of a mental cover up for me and more dealing with my issues that I needed to deal with straight on. But regardless, it was the abuse of alcohol for sure. And this place was my getaway many times. And yeah, I mean, I definitely abused alcohol here. And I'm happy to have a clean summer now and really take in the mornings where I could have taken my kids fishing that I didn't because I was tired. I was groggy. I was experiencing anxiety to maximum levels. Um, so it's a new summer situation, and I'm just so excited. I'm really not. I was worried that I might be bummed. I'm not. I'm not. I'm excited, and I have drank more pops sodas for those across the country um, than I normally would. I definitely have been craving sugar more. I think it's because the alcohol had more, and I didn't really anticipate that. But regardless, I can handle a pop and not have a hangover in the morning. That's a wonderful thing. Um, Thinking about hiding cans and stuff, I think I was going to head to this direction, and I kind of got sidetracked. But back here, there is a retaining wall. So just a big wooden wall that's holding dirt back on one side, because the neighbors are a little bit higher up. So I would go back. There's a downstairs back underneath the deck here, and I would drink a beer as quick as I could because I wanted to hide it. And I would take the can and I'd throw it across or over that retaining wall, um, and just let it sit there. Well, I threw quite a few cans back there, and I remember at one point my kids were up here and they were playing in that behind that wall, and they're like, "Whoa, there's a pile of cans," and I'm like, "Shh, shh." you know, um, just the stuff you hide and you don't think about, and just the carelessness of it all. It's silly. Um, and I think about my father-in-law sometimes too because he always, jokingly, semi-jokingly would say, "That stuff will kill you." He passed away a couple years ago, 4, 5 years ago now, and I sure do miss him. But I wish he could have seen me this way, because I bet he was hurting a little bit watching me do that to myself. And although I believe he'd be proud now, um, I wish he could have seen that part of me, but it is what it is, and life takes you in all different directions, and it happens when it needs to. I'm a firm believer in that. Um, and then the last thing I'll touch on is be kind of a short video today because I just thought of it as I came across some cans, and I'm sure I'm going to find some more stuff hidden in certain places that I had forgotten about, and that just goes to show that there was an issue, whether I wanted to admit it or not. But the last thing is we would go for a week vacation up north with my wife's family. Um, it would be about a whole week, and then the weekends on both sides, so about 10 days. And so my family would room with my mother-in-law, which was, we love her, and my father-in-law when he was around. But the last few years it's been my mother-in-law, and my mother-in-law hasn't said anything to me. But there's no doubt, and I'm saying this just because I'm being so transparent. There's no doubt she probably thought I drank too much. There's no doubt. And in sharing this space with her, there were cans all over the place. And my thought process was always, man, we're on vacation. It's drinking time. You get up, you drink. You might drink all day long, but that's what you do. Um, and so I would take cans, and anytime they'd leave the house, because I know they weren't huge drinkers themselves, I might have a couple. And then it got to a point where there's this bag of cans and I'm the only one filling it up. I mean, they might have one a day, maybe one, two a day, and maybe not even every day. Well, I'm drinking 10, 15 a day. Um, and I'm smashing these cans. I'm taking them and I'm smashing them down so they're this big, and I'm throwing them in the trash receptacle, and sometimes I'm even taking them and I'm hiding them under plates because the vast amount of cans that I was consuming was embarrassing. And I didn't think it was not normal. I truly didn't. I thought they were not normal. What a foolish thing to think. But that's okay. I had to come to that realization. But I'm here to tell you the amount of cans that my mother-in-law, because she typically would stay after we left and clean, and she had a discard of, embarrassing. And she never said anything to me. I know she's a good woman, so I know she was praying for me, and that's what I'm gonna hang my hat on, is that she was praying for me this whole time. But I guarantee she probably wanted to say things at moments, and I just I know she's proud of me, and I love that. But that's where I was at to give you an idea. So again, just kind of an unplanned video that I didn't think was going to happen, but when I uncover these things, it's now more crystal clear. My mind is so clean and clear thinking that I look back on it now, and I never would have admitted that was a problem. I wouldn't have, because I wanted so badly to believe my lifestyle was normal. Um, it's not. It's just not. And unfortunately, a lot of times society leads us to believe that. And I was talking to someone that I look up to in our faith, and she was saying, society is such a liar, such a great liar to us. It will reaffirm a lot of things that we want to believe. And again, I'm not here to talk anybody down that drinks at all. I still hope, I can't wait to host this year, and I will pack my fridge up with drinks for others. I want people to have fun. I don't want them to feel weird around me at all. I don't care. I don't judge. I know I can't do that. I know it's not good for me, because once I start, the anxiety's back, and my fluctuations in my emotions are back, and I'm not a selfless person. I am a selfish person, and I'm a manipulative person. But I will say, again, kind of talking to that, even manipulation, I would have sworn up and down that I was being manipulated. This is how foolish the drink makes you. And I know I've heard other people say that's why they call it spirits, because it really is. It becomes your guiding light. It becomes your vice. And my advice to anybody would be make God your vice. Make him who you seek. Make him the out of your life. And I think if I would have done that, I would have escaped a lot of the hardships. That being said, I needed to go down this path. Every situation, every heartache, it's for me, and I'm so happy about that. I would just say that those that can seek God without expecting immediate response, because I think that's my problem, is I expected immediate response on my time, and anybody that knows anything about God, it's on his time, and he knows best. So anyhow, my video today is to tell you that I was a manipulator, I was a liar, and I would go and I'd drive our golf cart up to the store over here that's not too far away. I would buy a 24 ounce, 22 ounce, whatever it is, and I'd drink it on the way back so my wife didn't have to see it. I'm admitting this now. There's a liquor cabinet downstairs. I'd go down there when I thought I could, and I'd take a sip here and there, and sometimes it was just to get rid of the anxiety that I had felt. And that's very typical of someone that's an alcoholic. They get to a point where their body needs it just to feel normal. And I was certainly needing it. Needing is a pretty heavy word, but I was certainly looking to it to help hone in my thought process. And it does for a little bit. That's why it's a horrible circle. My wife was just saying today, ironically, if you ever heard the song Drinking Bone by Tracy Bird, it's the drinking bone's connected to the party bone's connected to the staying out all night long, and she won't think it's funny, and I'll wind up all alone, and the lonely bone's connected to the drinking bone. I mean, I told her, I said, well, why go to counseling when you can just listen to that song? It's so true. And it is true. It's a vicious cycle. And once you're in it, you do feel a little bit reliant on that drink to get you back to homeostasis, to get you back to where your body just feels a little bit normal. But then you tell yourself, once you're there, it's good enough. But for me, it wasn't. Once I'm there, it's like, okay, this feels good again. And then I kept going. So anyway, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for subscribing and liking. I'd actually be curious to hear comments if you guys have been there. That you don't have to be a laying in the street alcoholic. You don't have to be the one that loses the job or loses the wife. It can just be a natural progression and a societal thing that puts us in these positions. It could be a job. But please know I'm here. I'm rooting for you. Stay sober. Enjoy it for a while. See what it can do for you. And then keep listening, and we'll talk soon. Take care.